Welcome to Money Matters. I'm David Crowell from Mortgage Network, and I will be hosting this segment of Money Matters. I'm going to use this segment to bring you up to date on a number of major news items that are pushing the economy every which way at once. It's pretty hard to understand, pretty hard to predict. So I thought what I'd try to do is to give you an overview of what's happening. You'll see what I mean about the different pushes as we go through them. First of all, in the recent weeks, we've seen a great deal of conversation in recent months, but especially in the last 2 or 3 weeks, great deal of conversation internationally and nationally about tariffs. It has been pretty consistently the policy of both Republican and Democratic governments and politicians for the last 40 or 50 years to back away from and to avoid tariffs wherever possible, promoting instead globalization and a global economy. That's the yin and the yang of the tariff conversation. Tariffs are nationalist in nature, defensive of local or national interests. Globalization and the free flow of capital and the free flow of goods is the opposing view, and obviously has been the ascendant view for at least the last 40 or 50 years. Along comes Donald Trump and says strongly and affirmatively, nope, we're going to impose tariffs to put America's interests where they should be and to prevent other countries from taking advantage of our industries. It's the first time that this has been aggressively proposed in a very, very long time. Interestingly, tariff conversations occur largely on the far left. On the far left of the spectrum, there are believers in tariffs because the belief is that globalization depresses lower-end hourly wages by making labor markets a function of the lowest cost markets. So in other words, your garment worker in the United States gets replaced by a garment worker in China who is living in subsistence conditions, who is in turn replaced by a garment worker in Bangladesh or in India. As the global labor market searches 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, always searching for the lowest possible possible cost. So the far left has always been the major proponent of tariffs to prevent that exploitation of labor from taking place. In the current political conversation, they say that politics makes for strange bedfellows. Well, Mr. Trump and the far left are on the same wavelength at the moment for very, very, very different reasons. Tariffs are destabilizing by their very nature because they cut across existing markets. An existing market for steel or aluminum has hundreds of thousands of participants in the market. The users of steel, the creators of the steel, the shipment avenues, the cost structures of the products. All of that is elaborate. It has grown elaborately over a period of time. A tariff cuts across that, has instantaneous impact. Tariffs are met with responses, with counter tariffs, because they are upsetting in all cases to the balance, and that's what's happening right now. Canada, France, England, Germany, who are our closest allies, are also having tariffs imposed by the United States on various products. They will respond in kind, and a destabilizing period will arise. How that's going to factor into your life locally, hard to say right now. We're in the 8th or 9th year of a economic expansion in the United States. It's likely that that expansion is going to go on for another quarter, for another 2 quarters, but the headwinds are mounting for an adjustment. Europe was expected to also grow at the same rate as the United States for basically a global expansion, Europe and China, for a global expansion in 2018. But the most recent data from the last week shows that China is starting to see some headwinds, and Europe is starting to see some headwinds. U.S. economy is still roaring along. The likelihood is that any destabilization caused by the tariffs will impact the growth in the U.S. economy. Another factor that you'll hear about frequently in the news is the state of the labor market here in the United States, which is basically at its lowest, I think, since the 1970s, since 1 month in the 1970s, a unemployment rate at 3.8%. Basically, 3.8% unemployment is full employment, because the 3.8% is made up of folks that are in transition, on the move, and they are the sort of fudge factor in the numbers. So areas like Hilton Head and Bluffton are at 100% employment, and there's a shortage of labor. And this is occurring around the country. That's an indicator of continued economic growth. In other words, that the economy is growing, we have full employment. There is, however, a danger signal in it all, and that is that most of this expansion of employment has come at the low end of the pyramid, has come in very low-paying jobs, and the labor market has not yet shown any significant hourly increases. So it's a pyramid that isn't a nice easy pyramid like this. It's a pyramid like this with a big flange at the bottom. So there's a big concentration of low-paying jobs with full employment, and then the better-paying jobs, there has been less growth in the better-paying jobs. So we have an economy which is growing and growing vigorously. We have economic partners whose economies are beginning to shake a little bit. We have tariffs on the horizon. We have this past week, the Federal Reserve increased interest rates and signaled that it will do so 3 times more in 2018. So interest rates are on the rise, which will slow the economy down. I think the best thing to say is that we're entering a period where there are many oppositional forces, countervailing forces, all pushing and tugging. It's a period of uncertainty with an election right smack dab in the middle of it, and a major amount of political discord right in the midst of it. So it's an interesting time to watch and read the news. I'm going to leave you with absolutely no prediction of what happens within the next 3 to 6 months, except that it's going to be interesting. It's David Crowell for Money Matters. Mortgage Network is the largest provider of mortgages in this part of the country. Give us a call for your mortgage needs. Thanks.